What is happening, guys? Welcome back to Rule of Two Review, and today I want to discuss some of these really important upcoming third-party Nintendo Switch games. So in a way, this is sort of a subject that I'm piggybacking off of. Recently, Sean Long, who runs the channel RGT85, I'm sure all of you guys are familiar with that channel and familiar with Sean. Awesome dude, great channel, love his content. We did have an opportunity to podcast once a couple of months ago, which was really great. And, he recently made a video discussing basically almost this exact topic, discussing some of these third-party multi-platform Switch releases that are coming up soon, and why they're pretty valuable to pay attention to, and why they're really, really important and carry a lot of weight in the industry for what's happening with the Switch and the Nintendo gamer. And if I'm being honest, this is actually something that I actually have wanted to discuss for probably a couple of weeks now. And I was really excited to see that even Sean Long himself and a couple of other people, I think even OJ Player Essence might have touched on this as well recently. You know, some people have sort of started to talk about the fact that we should pay attention to some of these titles coming up soon. And I was like, you know, this is something I've also been thinking for a while, and I really like how the conversation's been started by some of these other really good channels, and I felt like I wanted to kind of weigh in a little bit with my 2 cents. So it's no secret that the Nintendo Switch, as great as it is, as much as we all love it, and as well as it's been selling, has definitely been struggling on the third-party front. It's that thorn in Nintendo's side. It's just something for many decades and generations Nintendo has kind of struggled to ultimately figure out. The closest we got since the Super Nintendo era, the closest we got was the GameCube, which is one of the reasons it's my second favorite Nintendo console of all time. But beyond Nintendo's current struggles in the third-party market is the fact that we're kind of seeing a little bit of light over the horizon, and we've seen a few things release already that are fairly exciting, lots of indie support, and we know there are some promises of some great upcoming third-party titles on the system, and that is really exciting to see. A few of them are older titles, and some of them are even brand new multi-platform titles. Now, there's a collection of a few that are coming up soon, more specifically 2, that I wanted to really focus on today and why I think these titles are so important. Now, as far as all of the titles that are kind of wrapped into this conversation and that some of the other people, including Sean Long, for example, have talked about recently, are these sports titles, and then also for myself, Skyrim. So we all obviously know Skyrim. It's that evergreen, unbelievable title that has had such legs and made such an impact in the gaming industry and to a lot of gamers, myself included. And then, of course, we have these sports titles, which are namely WWE 2K18, FIFA 18, and NBA 2K18. So these 4 titles, I think, are very, very important. And again, a lot of folks have been discussing this more specifically on the sports game front, which is important to talk about because those are a little bit more current and relevant, because those are all current this year multi-platform releases that are releasing across the board on the Switch, Xbox One, PS4, and PC. And Skyrim obviously is in a different sort of case because that is a 2011 game that has been released quite a few times in many different versions and packages, including last year with a remaster for the Xbox One and PS4. And now, lo and behold, 6 years later, we're finally getting a version of it on a Nintendo console on the Switch. So of these 4 titles, I want to single out specifically and focus on 2 main ones, and that is Skyrim and FIFA. Now, make no mistake, the 2K games, NBA and WWE, are also very much a part of this conversation. I don't want to sell those short. I will definitely add that there is a lot of important things happening there, and they absolutely matter, and I'm really expecting and hoping for them to do well. A lot of you guys out there may care more about one or both of those games compared to the other 2 I'm choosing to talk about, but I'll explain why I'm choosing to talk about the 2 that I am talking about, beyond just the fact that they're the games that I'm personally more interested in. When it comes to the 2K games, you know, one of the most important things I see happening is with NBA specifically, the whole thing happening with it demanding an SD card inserted into your Switch. It can't really take advantage, at least the full game can't take advantage of any of the onboard memory for the Switch, even if it was the only game you owned. There's a big conversation happening there. It's a pretty big negative, but that's for a different video. I am not going to talk about that today. Today, like I said, I'm focusing on Skyrim and FIFA, and why these are absolutely 2 of the most important upcoming titles for us to pay attention to on the Nintendo Switch. So I will first start with Skyrim. And Skyrim, again, full disclosure, absolutely one of the best games I have ever played. I spent so much time on that game. I think between 175 and 200 hours back in the day, just back in 2011. That's the only time I've ever purchased it. I know a lot of folks talk about purchasing it a couple of times, and maybe they're going to do it again for the Switch. I only played it on my PC when it was current and relevant in 2011, and it was difficult because it came out, for any of you who remember, it came out a week before Skyward Sword did, so that was a really busy holiday 2011, playing Skyrim and Skyward Sword all at the same time. It was absolute madness, but it was beautiful madness. So, it's pretty obvious, I think, to a lot of us why Skyrim is important. And it's because it's the promise of hopefully more Bethesda support. It's really the crux of the conversation across the board with all of these titles. These are titles and franchises and developers that we haven't seen support Nintendo for a very long time, or at least support them consistently. And at the end of the day, all 4 of these titles selling well could show good signs for the future for these developers to want to release future titles on the platform. That's true for all of these titles, and that is the crux of the conversation that I'm talking about today. But when we talk about Skyrim, obviously it's Bethesda we talk about. For myself as a Bethesda fan, I want to see the likes of future Elder Scrolls games, future Fallout games. Oh my goodness, please finally give me frickin' Fallout on a Nintendo console. Not to mention some of the other great things they make, like Dishonored, Doom, Wolfenstein, and the like. And every once in a while, they do great, brand new things. Heck, The Evil Within, how did I forget that? Oh my gosh, I mean, they really work really hard on the development and publishing side of the industry to make some amazing games and franchises, and Doom is one of the best games I've played in the last 10 years. Absolutely. They did amazing things there. So Skyrim is in this unique case where this is, again, a 6-year-old title that everyone and their mom has played to death several times over, hundreds of hours invested in, and this is the title that they are basically putting all their chips on when it comes to the Nintendo audience. Will this title, which seems to be, in their mind, their safest bet because it's their biggest title they've ever made, will this be the title that can finally show that Nintendo audiences care about, games and developers and franchises that aren't Nintendo franchises? They can care about something that reaches a different sort of RPG open world market like what Bethesda's games are, and specifically Skyrim. Will we buy into this, and will they see a good sign out of it? And that's the thing, is it's like a lot of us want to see Bethesda's best games show up on the Nintendo Switch and show up on Nintendo consoles in the future, so I think that they're going to be paying really close attention to this. I mean, when is the last time a Bethesda game was on a Nintendo console? Some people have pointed out, gosh, I should have researched this, something from back in the NES or Super NES days, I think. I mean, it's been a while, if ever. I don't even know what title it is. I mean, to me, in the relevant gaming of today, this feels like the first time Bethesda has ever touched a Nintendo platform. They seem genuinely excited about it. It seems like they've put an incredible amount of effort into the version of Skyrim on the Switch. All of the previews say that it's very impressive, it looks great, it runs fantastic in portable and docked mode. They even went so far as to include like Joy-Con support for motion control sorts of combat and things, and I think it's great, I think it's exciting, and I think that this is really an important title because of what it could mean for a company like Bethesda. Bethesda is a key player in the industry. They make some of the most important games that everyone pays attention to, and that set the bar pretty high in terms of, the next evolution of the games that they make. So I'm really hoping to see this game supported. I'm really hoping more than anything to see this game be good, and I really hope that people are paying attention to it. This video isn't about telling you to buy a game that isn't a game that you're interested in, or a game that is bad if these games turn out to be bad ports. But if they're good ports, and if they're games you're semi-interested in, then yes, I want you and myself and everyone out there to pick up and support these games, and specifically for me, Skyrim is the most important. Now, FIFA is a little bit different, because we all know FIFA is coming from EA, and EA has a little bit more of a history with Nintendo, especially recently. I mean, EA's technically never truly gone away until like a year into the Wii U's life. But even if you go back throughout the 64 and the GameCube and the Wii, and even that first year or two of the Wii U, EA was around. They were releasing and publishing the occasional game on a semi-consistent basis for Nintendo consoles. They really have been. Now, you can question how solid the support was. You can question how solid the quality of the games were that they were releasing. Obviously, that's sort of up for debate when you go from title to title. But in terms of just their presence, they've been around. That's a fair, accurate thing to say. Then it was very controversial how they kind of ditched the Wii U and the Nintendo Gamer. I myself stand by the fact that they did not handle that the best. They weren't releasing quality games. We didn't go out and support them. The Wii U was a weird case anyway. So it was just like the stars aligned to make that whole relationship just a big, perfect mess. But now the Switch is doing well, and EA is trying to dip their toes back into the Nintendo water, and EA is arguably the biggest, if not one of the 2 or 3 biggest in the industry. So it's a big deal to see them wanting to support this brand new Nintendo console in any way. So along comes FIFA, the first game they're trying to test the Nintendo market with. It's a game that we know that they are putting a specific level of care into. I think it looks impressive. I love the fact that they created a custom engine and they're doing the best they can with what they think is available. You want to debate how much effort they're putting into it. We'll have to wait and see how the final product turns out. From what I've seen, overall, I'm happy enough to at least want to give it a shot and hope that it turns out well. And that's the real crux of the argument here, because again, EA stepped away from Nintendo thinking there wasn't anything there, and now they want to take, similar to what I think Bethesda's doing, they want to take what they think their biggest and broadest audience appeal game is, which is FIFA. I would like to disagree with that, but I understand that the sales numbers really back up FIFA being that game. I feel like there's a more hardcore audience that they could try to appeal with a different franchise, but whatever, that's just me, man. It is what it is. So they feel like, looking at sales numbers, FIFA is their best bet. And like I was alluding to a minute ago, they created a custom engine and a custom version of this game for the Switch. Now again, this could turn out to be garbage, and if it turns out to be garbage, then that is the problem. But I'm going to go on the assumption that it's not going to be garbage, and it's going to be okay to pretty darned great. And if that's the case, then personally, I see that as a positive thing. All things considered, you would like to think EA never had problems with Nintendo and stepped away and ditched them in the Wii U and did all those things, but we live in a world where that did happen. So in a world where that happened, I see them taking the time to create a very carefully crafted custom engine and custom version of FIFA for Nintendo's portable, weird, handheld, hybrid console, the Switch. It's a positive thing and a step in the right direction, which is why I'm excited for this game. I like soccer enough in video game form to give it a shot, and I think this title is a big deal. Because having a company like EA on board, even more so than a company like Bethesda, means a lot of the best things could possibly happen for the Switch. EA publishes and develops some great franchises, some very important key franchises, like some of their sports things. They've been involved with things like Mass Effect and Dragon Age in the past. Of course, BioWare is a part of them. Visceral Games. Need I even mention the biggest and most important thing? Star Wars. They're the ones making Star Wars games, you guys. So if we want things like Dragon Age and Mass Effect and BioWare games and Star Wars games and the other sports games and whatever other things they might publish in the future, if they bring back Dead Space or what have you, there's, Battlefield, all these different things, we need to see solid support from FIFA. And this upcoming title, Faye, which looks really great that they've announced coming to the Switch. We need to see these games do and perform well. So again, I'm gonna wrap this up here. I need to remind you guys of 2 points. NBA 2K and WWE 2K. Also important titles. They very much share these same conversations that I'm discussing today about these games, but again, I feel like the other two are a little bit more important, and from a personal perspective, I care about them more, especially Skyrim. I freaking love Skyrim. It is that good. So yes, those games matter, and they're technically a part of this conversation, so if you're into those and excited for them, please run out and support them. I hope they're good too, and I will also remind you of the last thing. In no way, shape, or form is my perspective, nor would I be telling you that, hey, you should just buy any one or all of these 4 games just because we want to support third parties on the Nintendo audience. Just do it. Just throw your money away regardless of the facts. No, that is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, I hope that all of these titles turn out to be good. I believe they're going to turn out to be good. And if they turn out to be quality ports where the developers deserve our money and we feel like this wouldn't be a waste in supporting garbage ports on a Nintendo console, then yes, then I want you to run out and buy these games and support the ones that interest you with your money and show these companies that, hey, we are here, the Nintendo audience and the Nintendo gamer are here to buy good games. When you release and make good games and good ports, don't leave us out. And again, reminding any newcomers to the channel here that I also own a PS4 and an Xbox One, and I love them and play games on them all the time. Yes, I'm a Nintendo guy first, but man, I love all the different options that allows us to game in the industry. So this isn't about saying the other consoles versions don't matter, but I'm someone who owns and plays all three, but would happily play and prefer to play most third-party games on my Nintendo Switch if the option was made available. So that is that, guys. That's why I think these titles, and specifically Skyrim and FIFA, are really important, and I hope we're paying attention to them. I hope they're quality, and if so, I hope we all run out in droves to purchase them, and we show all these companies, hey, give us these games, we're here to play them. So that's it. What do you guys think about these titles, specifically the two I mentioned, but even the 2K games? Do you think that these titles are important like I mentioned, or are you kind of less into them and don't really care because you just like your Nintendo games? Share your thoughts below. It'll be interesting to see this all play out, and that's going to be it. So thanks as always for tuning in, guys. This is Rob of Rule of Two Review, and I'll catch you next time on another video.